My name is Dr. Baird Fleming, and I'm the director of your biopark. And today we're going to be walking around with some very special folks from the ADA, or the Americans Disabilities Act, Advisory Board, helping us to look and see how we can improve our biopark.
Do you want to do elephants and train station?
Over the last 2 to 3 months, we've been out touring different cultural sites that are part of our department with the ADA Advisory Board for the city of Albuquerque. We've been to the Albuquerque Museum, we have been to the Central and Unser Library, Tingley Beach Aquarium, and today we finished up at the zoo.
The board was formed back in 2016 to deal with different departments and advise the mayor on issues that impact people with disabilities in the city, trying to access either programming or facilities.
How have you felt so far about accessibility for your wheelchair and everything?
Well, without people helping me push, I would have a hard time in here. Today on our tour, we considered the spaces that we moved through from the perspective of people like myself using a wheelchair. We had folks with service animals, blind folks. We had folks that were deaf that used ASL interpreters who asked very good questions about issues about how would we be notified about various things once we're out in the zoo.
To actually recognize the fact that somebody is impaired and provide that additional assistance.
This whole initiative started at an ADA council meeting over this summer, where we had some hard conversations about accessibility or lack of accessibility in some of our cultural sites. And as a result of that conversation, we decided that together we would just come out and visit the sites with different members of our community who have different disabilities, mobility disabilities or vision disabilities, or need service animals for support.
Our ADA Advisory Board has been really fortunate in that Cultural Services set up several tours for us. And every one of these spaces has really been amazing in terms of both the successful ways that we can move through and learn and be in the spaces, and then also things that we can point out to improve a visitor's experience. One of the things that we discovered on our tour today was that some of the areas that are going to be renovated, which is exciting, are going to improve some of the surfaces, which will help people with various disabilities, even folks in wheelchairs certainly. It'll help little kids, it'll help people that walk unevenly, and it'll help blind visitors. So we're excited about that. That's one area that, because this is an older facility, you expect some of the surfaces to be uneven or different, and so we saw some of that, but we know that it's going to be improved, and that'll be great.
The rail was protruding outward, and they might hit their head, and so maybe just like a soft pad over the top of that.
We've had staff from the Cultural Services Department and staff from the Department of Municipal Development along on all of these tours, and we've just taken our time to learn and listen from our community members, and we have a great list of things that we're going to try to do fast, some things we're going to try to do over the next 6 months to a year, and then some long-term goals to make our facilities much more accessible and much more enjoyable for all of our visitors.
The ADA Advisory Board would love to have the same experience that we did with Cultural Services with so many other departments. We look forward to being a resource. I think people would be surprised once they start to interact with us that we really want to stress the positive. We need to understand constraints, and I think we do, but we also want to offer ideas about ways did you think about that, could you do this? And I have noticed on these tours that department directors and staff are going, wow, we hadn't thought about that, and they really seem to be embracing it, which is great. And we want Albuquerque to be known as a location people can come to, and no matter what disability you may have, that this place is welcoming, that it's accessible, and that we're always looking for ways to improve the experience.
We learned a lot today. We figured out that there's a lot of different people out there with a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different needs. And we're going to be trying to improve the biopark and make sure that we're making it fun for everybody and we're making it accessible for everybody. Small things like changing our signage so that everybody can read them, or changing the substrate or the flooring that you walk across so that everybody can walk across it. Folks with wheelchairs, sometimes doors are hard to open, so making sure that our doors are all accessible to anybody.
One other area that is important to the disability community is online and digital access, really to every city department. But for cultural services, it's important. So we're also looking at the ways that the city websites can improve for accessibility. It's a real big issue. Much of the deaf community communicates entirely through texting. The blind community uses screen reading software. And people like myself, you know, before I even go to a building often or a site, I'll look it up on Google Street View and I'll see, are there steps? What's it like? Is there parking? So as much information as the disability community can get online, we do that. And so it's really important that that information be there and be on the websites and that it be accurate. Another thing that people often think of about ADA is that it's primarily facility and physical access. And that's only part of it. The other part is programmatic. And it's really important that, especially cultural services, because there's so many fun, exciting things to do in the city, you really want to make sure that you've thought about the variety of audiences that might be walking in the door. One example is when we toured the Albuquerque Art Museum, there was an actual hands-on exhibit to make jewelry, and the kids had there were tables, and I understand it's not just kids, there's adults doing this, and there was a jewelry maker that they could watch, and things like that are really enrich the space. I mean, if I can't get in the space, the programming doesn't matter, but once I'm in it, if the programming is also accessible, you know, what a home run. That's such a great thing. And again, especially with cultural services, because this is the way I think, you know, one of the richest things that our city has.